As a sports filmmaker and content creator, most people would assume that learning how to shoot proper video is one of the most important skills you can learn. And while obviously it's definitely important when you want to get into this line of work, I would argue that being a better video editor and being an efficient video editor is just as, if not more important than being a good video shooter. While being able to capture great visuals is something we should all strive for, I would also say that being able to effectively and efficiently tell a story through an edit is a skill that should not be overlooked. And oftentimes a good or a bad edit can really make or break whatever visuals you capture while you're out in the field. And even though most people are here to learn about sports videography on my end, I actually started my career off as a video editor in the first place. I started off primarily as an editor. Before I even picked up my first camera, I was editing videos during my time in university. And then I got my first big break in the industry as a video editor at MLSE, which is the company that owns the Raptors, the Leafs, and all the pro teams here in Toronto. And obviously, most recently, I'm currently a full-time video editor and content creator with the NHL. So I have firsthand experience understanding the value and the importance of what being a good editor brings to a team and the opportunities it can bring to you in the industry. Now, I think most people believe that a good editor due to social media is one that can do crazy transitions and unbelievable VFX and chock a video full of that kind of stuff. And while it's obviously important to learn visual effects and how to properly transition clips, that couldn't be further from the truth in terms of what actually qualifies a good editor. In my opinion, one of the biggest keys in order to grow and become a better video editor is not because of the effects or the transitions that you use, but it's learning how to be an efficient and organized editor. And that is a skill that will take you a long way. And it's what I want to focus in today's video. In one of the first editing courses I took, I was shown this diagram of a triangle showcasing good, fast, and cheap when it comes to video editing. And as you can tell, you can be good and cheap, but that makes you slow. You can be cheap and fast, which means you'll make a video quickly, but at a low quality. And you can also be good and fast, but that makes you expensive. You can't achieve any of these altogether, but I was told primarily, and something I hold to heart now, is that you have to be a good and a fast editor, which means you have to be organized and efficient in order to accomplish this. Now, an efficient video editor is a really valuable one because you're able to pump out more projects and more videos at a quicker pace, meaning that whatever team or organization you work with is able to post more content daily or more effectively throughout the day. Especially if you work in the social media department, you're going to be asked to edit at a high rate, and being effective and being organized while you edit will help you succeed in this situation. So with that being said, I want to give you guys 3 habits that I truly do believe will make you a more efficient and effective video editor if you start implementing it in your workflow today. These are habits that I've picked up throughout my career that I use on a daily basis that have allowed me to really improve as an editor overall and have allowed me to get a lot of the opportunities and jobs I've found throughout my career as a video editor. Quick note before we get started, I know what I'm about to show is all on Premiere Pro, but just know if you're using Final Cut or Davinci Resolve or whatever editing program you use, you can apply these tips onto those programs as well. So don't think that this is a Premiere Pro exclusive tutorial. With that being said, let's get started. Habit number 1, make sure your projects are as organized as possible. The main key to efficiency is organization, and keeping your project organized as much as possible is one of the smallest things you can do to make a huge impact in the speed and the quality of your video edits down the line. Just like losing your things in a messy bedroom, the same can be said for your video editing projects. If your project window is a mess and you don't have anything organized, it can be really difficult to find the assets you need at a moment's notice whenever you're editing a video. Vice versa, if you keep it organized, all with bins and properly labeled, the faster you're able to find your clips and assets while editing, speeding up the whole process entirely. Now, I am not the most organized person in the world, and this is a habit that took me a long time getting used to, but I ended up actually developing a project template and a folder structure that works for me and helps me keep all my projects as organized as possible. In the template I've built, I have pretty much my entire folder and project pre-built with all the bins and folders I would need on a daily basis while editing. Everything from having bins for your video clips, bins for your sequences, bins for your media, audio, or even bins within those bins for more organization. Again, I know it seems tedious and pretty neurotic, but this has actually helped me stay more organized. And I've actually thanked myself in the past when I have to go back to a project to re-edit it. I'm not sifting looking for a specific clip or video through a mess of clips and assets. I know exactly where it is because of the structure in this template that I built. This is way more effective than having to sift through a project file with no bins, no organization, and 100+ assets just lying around in my project window, which then you end up wasting time because you're having to look through several different things to find the specific clip you're looking for. That all being said, I really do believe in the power of being organized and being tidy as a video editor. This is something I wish I implemented from day one and something I haven't really done until maybe the last year or two, but I've noticed it pay dividends with the amount of time I'm saving on my projects, being able to clear them out really quickly and then moving on to the next one. Also, if you guys are interested in the project template that I use, I actually offer it as a free download on my Sellify store. If you want to use the same project structure I use and that you see in this video, make sure to check the link down in the description below and you can grab that absolutely free, something I've been giving out for a few years now, and that hopefully will help you guys become a better editor in the long run. Habit number 2, take the time to learn your keyboard shortcuts. Whether you edit in Premiere Pro, Davinci Resolve, or Final Cut, I think keyboard shortcuts are a non-negotiable for any video editor. It might be the most overlooked tool out of everything you can learn in video editing, but something that I stress, if you're gonna take one thing away from this entire video, take the time to learn your keyboard shortcuts because it will save you so much time. You can obviously get away without using keyboard shortcuts at all, but I truly do think all the great editors and people who are effective and productive when it comes to video editing know their keyboard shortcuts like the back of their hand. This was something I learned very early on at the start of my career, and this is definitely a habit I never ever regretted adapting into my workflow. You'll be surprised at the amount of time you can save by mapping out certain actions that you frequently use to your keyboard instead of having to look for them on screen or search for them in the effects tab. And the best thing about this, no matter what program you're in, they are 100% customizable to whatever fits your workflow. Like I said, these are all customizable to your preference, but here are some of my favorite keyboard shortcuts that I use every single day. Some of the most used shortcuts I have include using the C key for the razor tool when you want to cut a clip, V for the selection tool when you want to move stuff around, and using the 1, 2, and 3 keys for scrubbing backwards, forwards, and pausing through my timeline. Command D and Command Shift D are my favorite ways of automatically adding fades and transitions between my video and my audio. And then I also use I and O to add mark in and mark out points on my timeline when I'm ready to export my project. The plus and the minus key are also really great here for zooming in and out of your timeline really quickly. Now, these shortcuts are ones that work for me, and while you're very free to take them and use them as your own, keep in mind it's a very personal choice, so what might work for me might not actually be comfortable for you. Take some time, go into your video editing shortcuts in your favorite video editing program and customize them to your liking. Make sure to put your favorite actions and tools on keys that are effectively easy and within reach when you're video editing, and take the time to learn these, make them muscle memory, and I promise you, once they become second nature to you, they will speed up your editing 100% without a doubt. Lastly, habit number 3, keep your timeline neat and organized. Now, as you can tell, these are all habits and fundamental things to put into your workflow as an editor versus actual video editing techniques and effects, because at the end of the day, I think that productivity and efficiency are way more important and are the hallmark of what makes a great editor. Very similarly to the first habit I mentioned, keeping your timeline organized will save you a lot of time, and I truly do believe that you should just be able to glance at your timeline and identify everything by the label, color it has, and also where it is on the timeline. Whether you're looking at A-roll, B-roll, sound effects, sound design, the VO you recorded, you should just be able to look at your timeline and understand what you're looking at without having to scrub through it at all. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I wish this was one I took more seriously at the start of my career, but I actually only implemented it into my workflow in the last maybe 6 months, but I've already noticed the benefits of implementing this into my workflow and understanding the importance of keeping my timelines and sequences as organized as possible. That way, you're not scrubbing through your sequence, wasting time in order to figure out what exactly each asset is. You should just be able to tell at a quick glance. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can do this, but for me, I developed a color-coded system where each asset has a specific color on the timeline and each asset has a specific track it goes in. I actually just keep this sticky note on my desk, and I'll let you guys take a look here really quickly, and I'll also throw it up on screen. But this is just something I have on my desk as I get used to this habit. Like I said, I've only been doing this for the last 6 months or so I'm still learning to do this, but I figured that this system for me has worked so far in keeping my timeline as organized as possible. Just so you guys have an idea as to how I organize my assets, this is the way I have it. Starting off with track number 1, that is usually my A-roll labeled in the color red. Track number 2 is B-roll, and that's usually labeled by the color blue. Track number 3 is stills in the color purple. Track number 4 is titles in the color yellow. Track number 5 is any VFX or transitions in the color green. And anything track 6 or beyond is usually color correction, color grading, and adjustments I make in the color pink. I also have everything matching exactly the way it is in the audio tracks as well. Track number 1 in audio is my A-roll audio, which is in red. Track number 2 is my location or scratch audio with the blue color. Track number 3 is any VO or interview that I record in purple. Track number 4 is sound design and sound effects in the color gold. And finally, number 5, or my bottommost track, is usually my music or my soundtrack in the color green. On screen right now, I'll throw up a screenshot of a timeline of a documentary edit I worked on recently, and for the most part, it follows my kind of structure pretty well. Everything has its place. A-roll is on the main track, B-roll is on the second track. The audio and the video have corresponding colors. And then you can see on top, even though I don't have many visual effects, I have my color correction adjustment layers there in a specific color on specific places. My titles are actually a bit above where I normally would have them, but that was just because I wanted the halation and the filigree to affect the titles as well. And that's pretty much how I structured it. This is a little bit more different, especially on the audio side of things, but for the most part, everything has its place and you're able to identify things really quickly based on the color and the position of where it is on the timeline. That being said, I do think this is just another habit that if you implement will just make you a more organized and therefore make you a faster video editor, allowing you to get through projects a lot quicker, allowing you to provide more value for whatever team or organization you're creating video content for. Now, I know that these habits seem very simple and easy to adjust to and might not seem like they're worth your time. However, I urge you guys, these 3 habits have done so much more for me than any other video editing technique or transition I could have invested the time to learn in. Even if it's just one of them, I urge you guys, take one of these, implement in your workflow, and I promise you, you will see an improvement in your efficiency and productivity as an editor, and you will get more jobs for that in the future. I've had it happen to me, and I'm excited to see it happen to you guys down the line. If you guys have stuck with me until this point, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoy the video, if you guys took something away or learned something new, make sure to give it a like. If you guys have any questions about video editing or my workflow, leave them in the comments down below, and I'll be happy to get to them. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, as I would really, really appreciate it. And that does it for me in this video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.